Hello, it's Miss Emma. SSP teachers write to me, email me all the time with questions. They can do that at any time. So this is one answer. It's to a teacher who had asked about a child who is just not getting the blending. They're not hearing those speech sounds, so they're not able to find the right monsters because they can't identify the speech sound. I just video a response off the top of my head, so please don't expect these videos to be professional and well edited and whatever. I'm just giving a quick answer. A child can have perfect hearing, but poor phonemic awareness.
If a child's got poor phonemic awareness, that's the inability to hear, that's to isolate, to segment, and to order the individual speech sounds in words. So you might say the word pin, but what they hear is they can't identify those sounds. They can hear that word, but they can't identify the individual sounds. Pin, they can't identify. It's got a p, e, n. If you use the monsters, p, e, n. They can't identify them. So you asking them to give you duck hands for pin, p, e, n, is impossible. They cannot do it. So you asking them to do a word like sat and go at, sat, at, sat, at, sat, to then make the choices at, sat, they cannot do it. They have poor phonemic awareness.
Any child can have poor phonemic awareness. It's not linked with intelligence. The brighter the child doesn't mean they're going to have good phonemic awareness. It just means often they can fake it more easily, and so they get through the system quite a long time before we actually realise. About up to 33% of children can have poor phonemic awareness in any new prep class. If you can't identify the speech sounds in words, you can't then work out what the representations are on paper. So I say especially the bright children, becomes a lot of learning, a lot of memorising, what have you. That's why children need to be able to tell you the speech sounds in green level words like sat, pat, tin, what have you. If they can't tell you the speech sounds, they're not ready for phonics. This is really important.
So first of all, if you have a child that cannot do it, there is no point whatsoever keeping on asking them to do it. They can't do it. We need to teach their brains. We need to get their brains to go, oh, okay, we need to jolt. We need to make new pathways, basically. So if you've got a child that can't do it, then what you do is this. You say sat, at, sat, at, sat, at, sat, at, sat. Can you play it? At, sat. Can you do that? The child does it. Oh, let me put the monsters on. Monster, monster, ah, monster, t. So look, we've got at, sat. Oh, let me do it one more time, and you always put them back in the right order. Now I'm going to do it again.
No visual distractions of the letters. We're not bothered about the letters, about the sound picks. This is just phonemic awareness so far.
Sat, at, sat. You do it. So you get them to do that bit after you've done it. So you've done that whole sequence and they've just played it, you've shown it, and now you're going to do the same word, but this time they're going to model it after you. So you've said, right, I'm going to do my duck hands for sat. Here you go, sat, at, sat. Can you do it? Remember, you are doing it, if you're in front of them, you're doing it from your right to left so that they see it in terms of left to right. Okay, so you've said duck hands, at, sat. You do it, at, sat. Good, well done. Now, lines, at. Now you do it. And then they do it. At, sat. Right, I'm going to do the numbers. At, sat.
You model that, don't ask them to do that, because that bit will be too much for the brain at this point to do the sounds and the numbers at the same time.
So I'm going to play it. At, sat. Now you play it, and they play it. Now I'm going to do the monsters. At. And notice I'm doing it quite quickly because they can't hear those sounds. So it's really helpful to just move it along and jolt the brain. At, sat. Now you do it. You make the choices. So again, I'm going to put the monsters back in the right order so they're not jumbled up. It's always sat, put it in, sat pin. Okay, so then I might do it again. Then I might say, right, this is the word tin. 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 T-in tin. T-in tin. T-in tin. Can you play it? You play it and say the sounds. T-in tin. I'm going to make the choices. T. And at this point you might go, where's the t? And then if they point it out, great, then they're helping. So there, yes, that's t. Where's the I? They might find it for you. Even though they can't hear it, they're going to learn these monsters much more quickly than the development of the phonemic awareness.
Yeah, that part is easy. You can look at the monsters and like this is monster I. So the child can look at this and say I. That's easy because it's just learning a link. And this is why it can be quite dangerous, really, because we miss those struggling students. With phonics programs that introduce the phonics from the beginning, they introduce the letters, you know, like they look at the letter A and they'll go ah, or often they'll go ah, which is nothing to do with ah in a word. But they can look at that A and say ah to you, and teachers will say, but they know their sounds. And all they mean is they're looking at that letter and saying ah. That is going to help them that really is not going to help them if they've got poor phonemic awareness because they don't know what that means. You might as well have told them to bark when they look at the A. All they're doing is saying ah, but they don't know what that means. And if you're in Australia and you're saying ant, well, an Australian child actually doesn't say ant anyway. They say ant. So again, you're confusing them right from the very beginning. So this is why we start from a speech to print approach, and we're making sure that we know if they can hear those speech sounds in words, if they can isolate them, if they can segment them. That just means ordering them, which is from the left, which is to the right, and can they blend them. All of this is without us introducing the letters or the sound picks. If they can do this, when we then say, oh, you know that speech sound we were listening for, ah or sh. Well, if we were to take a picture of that speech sound with our magic speech sound camera, this is what it might look like on paper when we're talking on paper. So that makes sense to them. Okay, I can hear that sound. I can hear that speech sound. So make sure also that you say speech sound. I hear a lot of people talking about sounds. And when the children understand what you mean, of course you can say that. But at the beginning, a sound, well, a dog goes woof woof, that's a sound. You know, a car backfires, that's a sound. A speech sound is very specific, and it's something that's not natural because we don't learn to speak in speech sounds. We learn to speak in whole words that happen to comprise of speech sounds. And often people don't even realise all of the small speech sounds that are used every time we talk. And that's what phonemic awareness is. It's identifying what those are, because that part is very, very unnatural for a lot of children. And a lot of children have brains that are not wired to do that without a lot of explicit systematic help.
Yes, brilliant, fantastic. So look, we've got tin. Let's put them back. Check, we've got sat pin. Tin. Okay, let's do it together.
Now this is of course also why we have our visual prompts. So all these images here represent a green level word that the children are going to build. They're going to encode it, they're going to spell it, and they're going to decode it, which means you can follow the sounds to say the word. So all of these are made up of sat, put, it, making everything really, really easy to understand and accessible. All of these move, all of these have got character, so again, everything is meaningful. So if I say tin, the children think of the painter with the tin.
Duck hands. Tin. You do it. They do their duck hands. Tin. Can you do it? Then they do it. Tin. Then I might say, I'll do the numbers for you. Tin. Okay, now you play it. Oh, sorry, now I play it. Tin. Now you play it. And they go tin. Right, I'm going to make the choices. Or do you want to make the choices? We need and then you do it like that. And you keep doing it like that. So you do green level words, model it, the whole thing through. They just play it and they help you with the choices. Then model it with you doing it, they do it. And keep doing that with green level words, because their brains will start to make those connections and oh hey, and then you'll start to realize that as you're doing it, they're doing it with you. And then you might say, do you want to have a go? Okay, you show me duck hands first for sat. Can you show me? And if they can't, model it and then they do it. Model. Okay, this is just phonemic awareness. So, but once you've got a child who's starting to get quickly, they're starting to tell you beforehand what the duck hands are, what the sounds are. When they're doing it themselves, they're becoming a lot quicker. Then introduce the phonics. Okay, so supposing we're doing pants, so p, a, n, t, s, pants, and make sure you do the sequence. It has to be duck hands, lines, numbers, play it, make your monster choices. Okay, so we've duck tongued it, p. Now I'm going to do this nice and big because I want the monsters to sit on them. P, a, n, t, s, pants. P, a, n, t, s, pants. Numbers. P, a, n, t, s, pants. Right, now play it. P, a, n, t, s, pants. Make sure you do that sweeping action afterwards. Then they're going to make the choices for the monsters, so they're going to end up putting the p on there, and the a on there, and the n on there, and the t on there, and the s on there. Okay, so we've got the word pants, p, a, n, t, s, pants. So then you would say, okay, so he's saying p. If you take a picture of p, what's it going to look like? Let's lift him up there and put it on here. Or, because you don't want to change too much, you might leave it there. So he's saying p. What's the sound pick? P. And you show it to them if they're not sure. A. What's the picture? A. And this is in the green level, so that's always going to be a in the green level. That's always going to be put in the green level. That's always going to be in the green level. Of course, in other words, it might not be. It might be a different or a different t or a different s. Okay, so that's when you've put the phonics on. That's when you've shown them. Here's the pictures. P, a, n, t, s, pants. So look, we've got the speech sound lines. P, a, n, t, s. We've got the monsters who all say their speech sound. P, a, n, t, s. This is more for teachers and for when children are ready. These are the symbols. These are just an international way for people to know. If you don't have the monster and you look at that, that means I'm thinking of the speech sound a. Not telling you which one, not telling you whether it's this one or whether it's this one like in plat or whether it's this one like in meringue. I'm not telling you which one, I'm just telling you that's the speech sound. But you're not even looking at that with the children to say what it is. You just say, oh, that just means it's that speech sound, but we don't know which picture. Here's the picture.
This is the picture it always is with green level words. This is the picture in this word. But it's not necessarily going to be the same picture in every word. How do we know that? The Speech Sound King and his code mapping book. He recorded the whole code, everything, the reason why he code mapped it, so we get into etymology and the meaning of the words and the root of the words and what have you. But to know which choice, which sound pick in which word, we can just use the dictionary. But that's why we're code mapping all the time as well with the Speedy 6 and Speedy Decoding, what have you, even if they can read. When they're doing Speedy Decoding with a book they can already read, that's developing their code mapping, their spelling skills, and that's showing them all the choices that we use for the sound picks in every word. So we're not just looking everything up in the dictionary, even though we love looking things up in the dictionary, we're exploring it through reading and writing every day.
Okay, so model it, sequence it, you do it, until the child is ready to do it. But if a child is sitting there when you're saying, give me the duck hands for spin or pants or sat or whatever, and they can't do it, there's absolutely no point keeping on asking them. The best technique of all is modelling it for them. You do it, they do it.
Anyway, I hope this helped. Please don't underestimate the power of developing that phonemic awareness using the SSP green code level and using the monsters. It's vital. The green and purple code levels are the most important for the children because we're setting the foundations. It's not a case of rushing through recognising graphemes and what have you. It's a case of understanding what they're doing. So the child needs to do it as long as it takes to understand it. If they're on the green code level for a whole term or even more, that's what they need. You're still exposing them to the higher code levels, but they need to develop this phonemic awareness. And that's why the list of skills and concepts the child needs to have by the time they graduate from SSP Green. Some children have graduated from SSP Green in a week. Some children take half a term. Some children, you're going to have 2 or 3 children in just about every class who haven't had SSP in preschool who are going to still be on green or need more work on green still after about 8 weeks. Okay, they're the children who will fail in the traditional system. They're the children that are still not, in NAPLAN year 3, they're still not even reaching the minimum standards, which are very, very low. So we need to get them in prep. We need to give them all the time that they need to be able to develop these skills, because then everything else will fall into place. You miss this and you fail the child. And it's not the child, it's you're not teaching them in the way they're learning or they need to learn. And that is pants.